Have you ever noticed how two people can go through the same problem but react in completely different ways? While one stays calm, the other crumbles under anxiety. Many people believe inner peace depends on external events, that they'll only calm down when things improve, when others change, or when they have more control over the situation. But that's one of the mind's biggest illusions. True calm doesn't come from circumstances. It comes from how you choose to respond. You can't stop the chaos in the world, but you can become someone who doesn't get dragged down by it. And that's exactly what Stoicism teaches. Direct your energy toward what's within your control. In this video, you're going to discover how to cultivate a state of presence and rationality, even when everything seems out of place. These are simple practices, but they hold immense power to transform your days and return to you something you should never have lost: your clarity and your peace. And it all starts with a decision. So write it in the comments. Today I choose calm. I am stoic. Because when your mind finds clarity, even problems lose their strength. Before we start, I want to ask you two things. Like this video and subscribe to the channel. Now let's begin. 1. The difference between acting with clarity and acting on impulse. Some of the worst decisions you've ever made were born in the seconds when you weren't in control. Anger burned down what took you years to build. Fear made you miss out on opportunities that may never return. Anxiety put words in your mouth before reason could arrive. And the worst part is, many times you don't even realize you're reacting. The impulse shows up like a reflex. And by the time awareness finally arrives, it's too late. The damage is done. The disaster has already happened, and there you are, trying to understand why you lost control once again. That happens because most of the time we're not the authors of our actions. We're hostages of emotion. It's like there are two versions of you, one that observes and understands, and another that explodes and attacks. When you live on autopilot, the second one is in charge. But there is a breaking point, a small but powerful decision that changes everything. Pause and breathe. Take control right at the moment the world is pushing you into chaos. Because acting with clarity isn't just a virtue, it's a form of protection. Picture a ship in the middle of a storm. The sea is rough, the winds blow violently, waves threaten to capsize the vessel. An inexperienced captain panics and reacts to everything, but a wise captain holds the wheel, knowing he can't control the sea, but he can master himself. You need to learn that too. Life's storms won't stop coming. But you can become the kind of person who navigates the waves with steadiness. And that starts when you choose to act with clarity, even when everything around you is urging you to act on impulse. Epictetus said, "It's not events that disturb us, but our interpretation of them." That means the problem isn't what happens, it's what you allow it to mean. A poorly spoken word can turn into a war or just background noise you choose not to amplify. An offense can become revenge or silence. A frustration can be the start of collapse or a new beginning. It all depends on the mind you're training. That's the real power, the power to choose. And every time you choose to act with awareness, you get closer to the person you want to become. Because in the end, emotional control isn't about shutting down. It's about creating space so your consciousness decides, not your impulse. Leave a comment. Today, I choose first. Affirm your commitment to that change. 2. Master your body and your mind. Have you ever realized that even before you say a word, your body is already speaking for you? The way you walk, breathe, and carry yourself in the world says much more about your inner strength than any well-structured speech. Think of the last time you felt insecure or overwhelmed. What was your posture like? Slumped shoulders, lowered gaze, shortness of breath. Now picture someone you admire, someone who radiates confidence and calm. How does that person move? Neuroscience has shown that posture doesn't just reflect your mental state, it also influences it. Amy Cuddy, a researcher at Harvard University, revealed that holding a power pose for just 2 minutes can reduce cortisol, the stress hormone, and increase testosterone, the confidence hormone. That means the way you position yourself can literally change how you feel and think. Now imagine the power of standing tall, head high, even in moments of uncertainty. Choosing to rise, to lift your gaze and say to yourself, "I am stronger than this." This isn't just body language trickery, it's a commitment to your future self. You might feel fear inside, but you stand firm, breathing calmly, like someone in control of their own mind. When you assume a posture of strength, your brain gets the signal, and it responds with more mental clarity. You don't just look confident, you start to actually feel it. Instead of being consumed by anxiety, you take charge of the situation. Here's a simple but powerful exercise to practice. For the next 7 days, every time you feel doubt or insecurity, correct your posture. Pull your shoulders back, lift your chin, and take a deep breath. Do this before an important meeting, a difficult conversation, or even just when you wake up. Observe how your mind responds. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher emperor, said, "In the mornings when it's hard to get up, keep this thought in mind: I have been awakened to do the work of a human being." This posture isn't just about how others see you, it's about how you see yourself and who you're becoming. Every time you rise with presence and purpose, you reaffirm your value. Because real strength doesn't come from shouting louder. It comes from staying calm and rational while the world around you spins. 3. The calm of an emperor. Imagine yourself in the middle of a war, the sky filled with smoke, the ground shaking from the steps of thousands of soldiers, and all eyes on you. Your heart races. Every decision could mean life or death. The entire empire depends on your choices. How do you stay calm under such pressure? That was Marcus Aurelius's reality. Unlike what many imagine, he wasn't just a powerful emperor, he was an ordinary man, subject to the same pain, doubts, and fears as the rest of us. His fate wasn't easy. He ruled Rome during wars, plagues, and pandemics. He faced betrayals, losses, and challenges that would break most people. So what set him apart from other leaders? Why is his name remembered when so many others are forgotten? The answer lies in his ability to remain calm. He understood something most people never realize. The real enemy isn't out there, it's inside. What happens around us may be beyond our control, but how we choose to react is entirely up to us. The real battle happens within you. Think about the battles you face every day. They may not be military, but they're just as intense. Work stress, financial uncertainty, relationship troubles, expectations you carry, the rising cost of living. Often the temptation is to give in to panic, anger, or despair. But Marcus Aurelius teaches us that even in chaos, we can remain calm and choose a wiser response. He wrote in his meditations, "Life is not what happens to you, but how you react to what happens." In other words, peace doesn't come from the outside world. It comes from how we choose to see and face it. If an emperor surrounded by war and betrayal could keep calm, why can't we? Here are 3 lessons from Marcus Aurelius you can apply to find peace in any situation. First, understand that control lies in your response, not in the circumstances. You may not control what happens around you, but you can always decide how to react. Next time you feel under pressure, instead of acting impulsively, stop, breathe deeply, reflect, observe your thoughts before they drive your actions. Second, realize that fear and anger are traps of the mind. According to Stoicism, it's not the events that disturb us, but our judgments about them. Fear, anger, and anxiety don't come from situations. They come from how we interpret them. Imagine someone cuts you off in traffic. If you take it as a personal attack, you'll feel rage. But what if that person was rushing to the hospital? Your reaction changes completely. That's why Marcus wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment." Before reacting or panicking, ask yourself, does this really deserve such a strong reaction? What would Marcus Aurelius do? The key to calm is remembering that while you can't control everything, you can always control how you interpret what happens. When you change the judgment, you change the emotion. Third, understand that serenity is not weakness, it's strength. As Marcus said, the nearer a man comes to a calm mind, the closer he is to strength. Being calm means having the courage to face challenges without letting them dominate you. Marcus never ran from problems. He faced them head-on, knowing that keeping his mind under control was his greatest advantage. You will always have the power to choose. Be a slave to your circumstances, or the master of your peace. No matter how chaotic the storm outside, what matters is whether you choose to be swept away by it, or become the steady, unshakable center of the hurricane. And remember, real strength doesn't come from rigid control, but from understanding that you can adapt, endure, and grow through anything. Just like Marcus Aurelius did, you too can find that calm that never leaves you. 4. Transform difficulty into motivation. Life has a cruel talent for cornering us. Sometimes it feels like everything is falling apart, the weight of the world crashing down on our shoulders, and the sensation of being crushed becomes almost unbearable. But what if, instead of seeing those moments as an end, you saw them as a beginning? What if, in the middle of pain and uncertainty, there was an opportunity to become stronger, wiser, and better prepared? It might be hard to believe. After all, how can you look at pressure, fear, and frustration and see an opportunity? The answer lies in how you choose to react. Difficulty doesn't come to destroy you. On the contrary, it comes to shape you. In 1914, a devastating fire burned down nearly all of Thomas Edison's factory, destroying years of work and research. At 67 years old, he watched as his dreams turned to ashes in a single night. His son found him staring at the flames, expecting him to be devastated. But Edison simply smiled and said, "It's okay. All our mistakes burned up. We can start over." Instead of mourning, he gathered his team and started rebuilding the next day. Less than a year later, Edison had already created one of his greatest successes, the nickel-iron battery. That's the difference between those who grow and those who give up. The difficulty didn't break him, it refined him. If one of humanity's greatest geniuses had to lose everything to come back stronger, what's stopping you from doing the same? Think back to the hardest moments of your life, the times you felt like there was no way out, that you didn't have the strength to go on. Now look where you are. You made it through. Maybe it took time, maybe it hurt, maybe you felt alone, but you're still here. And what if I told you that the most successful people in history, the ones we admire the most, went through the same thing? None of them had an easy path. What set them apart was how they faced difficulty. They didn't run from it. They used the pain as fuel and the losses as lessons. Look at great athletes, entrepreneurs, or thinkers. Many come from stories of suffering, but instead of surrendering, they turned every blow life dealt into a springboard toward something greater. True strength doesn't lie in avoiding challenges. It lies in knowing what to do with them. Next time an obstacle appears, ask yourself 3 questions. First, what can I learn from this? Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? Ask, what is this trying to teach me? Second, how can this make me stronger? Every challenge is mental training. If you're facing hardship today, it's because you're being prepared for even greater challenges ahead. Third, what's the next step? Complaining doesn't change reality, action does. What can you do right now to move forward? Pressure isn't there to crush you, it's there to shape you. Every time you endure, you grow. You may feel like you're falling, but in reality, you're rising. Think about this. To become a diamond, a piece of carbon has to endure extreme pressure. Without that pressure, it would remain just an ordinary lump of coal. You're being refined too. And the question that remains is, what will you do when life tests you again? Will you surrender to frustration, or will you see it as a chance to grow stronger? If you learn to embrace difficulties instead of running from them, something incredible happens. You stop merely surviving and start truly growing. And when you look back, you'll realize it was the pressure itself that transformed you into your best version. 5. Prepare your mind before the storm. Imagine you're on a boat in the middle of the ocean. The sky is blue, the wind is calm, and everything seems peaceful. But suddenly, dark clouds form on the horizon. The sea begins to stir, and you realize a storm is coming. What do? Do you panic? Do you cross your fingers hoping the storm passes? Or do you adjust your sails and prepare to face it? Life isn't made up of only calm moments. One phone call, one painful loss, one work crisis, everything can change in an instant, and those who aren't prepared are swallowed by chaos. But what if the key to facing tough times wasn't to hope everything stays calm, but to strengthen your mind to endure the inevitable? We live in a world that promotes positivity and optimism, often in a superficial way. But there's a mental tool that can make you stronger, more resilient, and better prepared. Negative visualization. This practice might sound strange at first. After all, who wants to think about the worst-case scenario? But those who ignore the possibility of failure often don't know how to handle it when it arrives. Great strategists, athletes, and leaders use this technique to avoid being caught off guard. And Stoicism, a philosophy that's endured for centuries, teaches it as a core principle. Seneca said, "He who anticipates suffering suffers less when it arrives." By imagining difficulties before they happen, you strengthen your mind and prepare to act with intelligence and calm instead of being overwhelmed by fear and desperation. So how do you apply negative visualization in practice? Think of a big challenge you need to face, a tough conversation, a critical presentation, or a decision that could change your life. Now, visualize everything that could go wrong. Imagine stumbling over your words, a negative reaction, or not being able to express what you feel. At first, this might seem like a destructive exercise, but it's actually liberating, because when you allow yourself to visualize those difficulties in advance, your mind has already faced them. You've already walked through the discomfort mentally, so when the moment comes, nothing seems as frightening. Think about how many times you felt anxious over something that never even happened. And how often did your fears actually come true? When we anticipate challenges, we stop being prisoners of fear. We see solutions before the problem arises, we prepare emotionally, and we build strategies. The result is mental strength, clarity, and self-control. Often, what scares us most isn't the situation itself, but the fear of the unknown. And the unknown only feels scary because we've never stopped to confront it. When you practice negative visualization, you discover something surprising. The worst-case scenario isn't as scary as it seemed. You realize you can handle rejection. You understand that one mistake doesn't define your life. You see that you can fail and still keep going. Anxiety goes down and confidence goes up. Because you're prepared. You've already mentally lived that moment before facing it. And true freedom lies in knowing that you can face anything. No one is immune to life's challenges. You can't avoid every storm, but you can choose how to face them. So instead of wishing for calm seas, learn to sail in rough waters. Visualize the challenges in your career, your finances, your relationships. Face your fears before they take over. And above all, strengthen your mind before the difficulty arrives, because when the storm comes, you won't be knocked down. You'll be ready, and that, in itself, is already a victory. 6. Breathe and respond with reason. Have you ever been in a conversation where, out of nowhere, someone says something that hits you hard? Maybe it was a sarcastic comment, an unexpected criticism, or even a direct provocation. Without realizing it, you feel the heat rise to your face. Your heart races. Your mind prepares to reply, and in seconds, the comeback is already on the tip of your tongue. But stop and think. How many times has reacting impulsively actually helped? The truth is, in moments of pressure, our automatic reactions are usually guided by emotion, not by reason. And that's exactly when a pause becomes your greatest ally. And that pause starts with a simple but extremely powerful action: breathing. In stressful moments, your body enters survival mode. Your breathing becomes shallow, your brain interprets the situation as a threat, and you lose control. But when you breathe deeply, something changes. Your body exits that reactive state. Your mind slows down, and suddenly, you can see the situation more clearly. It's like a captain in the middle of a storm. The sea is rough, the winds are fierce, but if he keeps his hands steady on the wheel and doesn't panic, he can steer the ship to calmer waters. Now, how do you apply this in real life? The next time you feel like you're about to react impulsively, do this. Stop. Yes, just stop. Say nothing. Create a small space between stimulus and response. Then, breathe in deeply through your nose, counting to 4 as you fill your lungs. Hold your breath for a moment. That gives your brain time to recenter and sort through your thoughts. Then exhale slowly through your mouth. Let the air out gradually, like you're releasing all the tension you've been carrying. That simple cycle resets your body and your mind to handle the situation better. Most bad decisions don't come from a lack of intelligence, but from a lack of emotional control. When we're under pressure, our emotional brain takes the wheel and acts impulsively, ignoring the consequences. The result? Rushed choices that could have been avoided with a moment of clarity. Just turn on the news. Every time we see impulsive acts, we're seeing someone who lost control of their emotions. The good news is, this can be trained. You can teach your mind to pause, reflect, and respond with intelligence rather than just react. Neuroscience studies show that when you breathe deeply and pause before reacting, your prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for logic and decision-making, regains control. That means instead of responding with anger, fear, or anxiety, you respond in a more intelligent and strategic way. Think of the last few times you reacted impulsively. Now imagine how differently things could have gone if you had taken just a few seconds to breathe and think before replying. Life will always throw challenges at you. Arguments, conflicts, high-pressure moments. But the difference between someone who loses control and someone who stays calm is training. That's why you must practice the pause daily, whether in a tough conversation, at work, or at home. Use this breathing technique to reprogram yourself. Start the habit of thinking before acting. Ask yourself, does this really matter? What would be the smartest way to respond? Don't become a slave to your emotions. Emotions are important, but they should not govern your actions. Many people confuse emotional outbursts with strength, but the truth is the opposite. Those who lose control lose power. People who get irritated easily, speak without thinking, or explode under pressure aren't strong, they're vulnerable. True strength lies in the ability to control your reactions, in the calm of someone who knows there's no need to rush, in the wisdom of someone who knows a 5-second pause can prevent 5 years of regret. So breathe, reflect, and only then act. That is the key to being more rational and, in the end, stronger. 7. How to be calm and decisive at the same time. Imagine you're on a cooking reality show. You have only 10 minutes to prepare a perfect dish, and the judges are watching your every move. The pressure is on. Some people under pressure freeze or get overwhelmed. Others turn the pressure into focus. What's the difference? It's not about avoiding pressure. It's about how you manage it. Being calm doesn't mean being passive, and being decisive doesn't mean being impulsive. The key is finding balance. A calm mind with firm decisions. Think of a surgeon in the middle of a complex operation. There's no room for panic. His hands are steady, his breathing controlled, his mind sharp. Every movement is precise, not because there's no pressure, but because he's trained his mind to stay composed in the middle of the storm. You can do the same in your daily life. The secret lies in creating mental routines that help you stay centered. Before making a decision, pause, breathe, and evaluate. then act. Decisiveness with calm is a superpower. It's what allows you to lead, to influence, and to face chaos without becoming chaos. Don't let emotions or external pressure dictate your choices. Use your breath, your posture, and your awareness to bring your attention to the present moment. Make choices from clarity, not from reactivity. That's how Stoics faced life. That's how you can win. Not by shouting louder, not by rushing blindly, but by staying rooted, rational, and sharp, even when everything around you loses control. Because at the end of the day, the real battlefield is your mind. And if you conquer it, there's nothing left to fear.